I'm Andy Clark, and next to me in our three-man boy band lineup are two gentlemen who need no introduction. Of course, Kalle Nisse Sauerland, the driving force behind this now not quite so new venture. And the reason that we're here today is to unveil the new stable of signings for Wasserman Boxing. These fighters will be out and in action very, very soon across a number of cards. Some of them you'll already be familiar with, some of the names you'll already know because they will release, the details are divulged in real time. Others you won't, because there are three new signings with us today who will be unveiled before too long. Chris Eubank Jr. Will be joining us last but certainly not least. But before we get to the fighters, let's just have a quick chat, Kalle and Nisse, about this brave new world, really, that has materialised over the last few months. So I'd be very interested to know, I'm sure everybody else would, how did this grand union between the Sauerland promotional dynasty, I think that's probably the right word for it, and
terminology, but probably an accurate one,
and the global media empire that is Wasserman, how did it come about?
I think first of all, I'd like to say, give everyone a big welcome. It's so lovely to be sitting here and preaching our lovely sport, and actually sitting not in front of a Zoom somewhere and seeing live journalists in the flesh again. I've spoken to all of you during lockdowns and all the athletes here today. So the Brave New World has begun. It began in March, formally and officially, but the talk started deep in the first lockdown. Foru and Dean Baker from Wasserman approached us. We had a round of meetings. Our vision was never really to sell the family business. It was always to expand it. We're probably the only promoters in the world that has grown a business truly globally, not working with one broadcaster, but going into territories and working it bottom up, going in, grafting. If I think about Denmark, Finland, Russia, making domestic deals in those countries, having your local teams in those countries, it's very different to just saying we're going to go put a show on in the country and actually building a division in those countries. And I think we looked at it and said, we've come this far and now we want to take it to that next level. And that next level, if you look at Wasserman, outside of boxing, I mean, we can just say it again, I love saying these words, 100 Premier League players, 40 Premier League winners, 1,200 employees on planet Earth, and I don't know how many offices, I always lose track on that one, but it is such a power behind us that it was an offer that was just simply too good to refuse. And I think that it takes us to that next level. We sat here in March and we announced, and people said, whoa, and what an announcement. And for weeks later, we were still giving interviews on this announcement, and I'm like thinking, right, okay, we've announced, okay, that's fantastic. What are we doing now? And of course, there was always a master plan in it. I think the first chapter, you can see here today, the first 6 months. And by the way, we're just talking about the UK talent today. I'm not talking about Myris Breedis, who'll be boxing the World Boxing Super Series winner, the IBF World Champion, who's boxing next month in Latvia. Filip Hrgovic, who's going to be boxing the final eliminator for the heavyweight championship of the world later this year. So we are concentrating today very much on the UK side of operations, all the German talent we have. We're not going to talk too much about them today, but we've got big things planned in Germany coming up. Actually, a deal is just about to be signed there, which will allow us to promote 4 events in a very short space of time to really drive Germany back up. We all know Germany needs that world champion, but we are here today to talk about the UK market. And we signed Chris in January. I think January the 1st is actually on the contract, and it was a step into to some degree for both of us into the unknown. Although we'd worked with Chris during the World Boxing Super Series and had a fantastic time together. But it really launched already what was coming, and now you've seen the likes of the up and comers. You've seen you're going to see some more names that, let's say, have been on the top of Sky Sports or BT Sports bills before. You're going to see them announced today, and then of course Eubank Jr. And once again, chapter 1. We are 6 months in. We're not even an event in the UK, so it's just about to get started.
And this is the UK market is, I mean, it's in a fascinating place at the minute. Probably the most interesting period that I can remember over the last few years in terms of promotions, in terms of media, in terms of broadcast. There seems to be something announced, something going on almost every day. And as the saying goes, times of great change, at times of great opportunity. There's a space here, isn't there, that can be inhabited.
Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be here. Just like my brother said, it's great to see everyone back. Nice to be shaking hands with people again. Yeah, I mean, English boxing, I think it was the 2012 Olympics when AJ got the gold. I think since then, British boxing has been on an absolute high. You've got Anthony Joshua next week against Usyk, massive stadium show. I mean, if I look at it, before 2012, I don't think a stadium show would have been mentioned, let alone sort of become almost a regular occurrence since the man George Groves sold out Wembley Stadium, standing just over there. I think British boxing has become the pinnacle in the world. It's bigger than America now. It's bigger than everywhere, and we're just happy, having grown up in the UK, to be a part of it and to give it our best shot at doing some really great shows.
Okay, so let's meet some of the fighters. So first up, we will get up Chloe Watson, Hosea Stewart, if he's looking out in the back there somewhere. Brad as well. Brad Pauls, if you're around, and Martin Foru as well. So this is going to require a little bit of mic sharing. So Chloe, we'll start with you, and you're a very accomplished amateur. Won a gold medal at the Youth Commonwealth Games. You're on that GB setup. Got to an elite senior final in 2019. You've had a little bit of a break since then. How did this all happen for you?
Just the right opportunity at the right time, really. I always work hard, so I'm always in the gym. Like you said, last year I took a year out and it just worked well for me. I just feel like everything always works well, and I just go with it. And right now, I'm ready to turn pro, and I'm ready to show everyone like who Chloe Watson is.
And as well as having these guys behind you, you're training with Ricky Hatton as well up in Manchester, staying there during the week. You're making preparations at the moment. How's that relationship coming along?
Amazing, yeah. I'm just learning so much, and that's just what I set out to do. Like at the start of the year, I just wanted to learn, and that's what I'm doing.
An operation like yours has always got its tentacles everywhere in terms of looking for emerging talent, particularly from the amateurs. I see Tom at international competitions lurking left, right, and centre. So how did you hit upon Chloe as a fighter you wanted?
I mean, that's mostly my brother and Tom's role and the other network of agents we have. I'll just say something a little bit about Chloe. When I saw material landed on my desk for Chloe, I've never met Chloe till today, and the female boxing is in a place which it's never been before, and we've have a history going back to Cecilia Brækhus, who we took from a lady from Norway to become the unified champion of the world. Her first world title was actually on a Mikkel Kessler undercard, and you'd struggle to get more than 300 people in that 20,000 seater to be at that fight, and it was sad in a way, but it was a mission we went on, and she ended up being a pay-per-view star in Norway and headlining shows in the US and God knows where else, and it's just shown the level that female boxing has come to. And I'm obviously the chief boxing officer at the World Boxing Super Series as well. We were very proud, and I'm very proud to be now doing the first ever WBSS in the females, so you see the level of the sport. So for me, it's such a natural, and that part I talk about from the commercial side. I'll let my brother talk about it from the boxing side.
You know, I never really have much to add to my brother, but yeah, I mean, I saw Chloe and I thought, wow, we've got to sign her. Speaks very well, trains with Ricky, obviously, and you know, I believe you won the Commonwealth Gold back in, was it 2019? 2017. Okay. And you know, that's a great accomplishment, and it's you know, weight class is very strong, and there's a lot of good opportunities there as well. And I think at the moment, like my brother says, female boxing is on fire, and you know, we want to take Chloe to the top.
Yeah, and I'd just like to thank you for that as well, and giving me this opportunity, because I'm just so excited to get the ball rolling and get out there.
Okay, so Brad, we'll move on to Brad Paul's undefeated middleweight, former Southern Area champion. We were chatting a little bit ago before we got started, and you did say that you went up to the attic and for the first time in a while dusted off the gladiator helmet that you put on to come to the ring, and you've been out for a while, as have lots of people. You must be itching to get back in.
Yeah, it's 2 years since the last time I boxed. It's a long time out of the ring, but it's not time out of the gym. I feel like that time I used to my best ability, stayed in the gym. The gladiator helmet got loads of dust on it, all the fight kits got loads of dust on it, but I'm just happy to be here and happy to be fighting again. It's been tough for the people in the small hall. I've not been fighting on TV, I've just been waiting for the right opportunity. So thank you for the chance, I'll do you proud, and yeah, it's going to be exciting, I promise you.
And Jack, something that Brad's definitely got in his favour, as well as being, you know, a good fighter to watch, a crowd-pleasing style, and there's obviously ability there. Is that he's got a real good, solid fan base. He draws support from Cornwall, from Southampton, from Essex, even from Liverpool, and these are the kinds of fighters that are important, aren't they? They've got that overall package.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's dusting off the gladiator's helmet says it all for me. You know, he understands the business side of things as well. It's also marketing, boxing, but you know, it's also the style. And I looked at the tapes of Brad, and I said, no brainer. It's someone who brings it to the ring, and you can be a great salesman outside the ring and do a lot of tickets, but you've got to deliver. You know, people want to see action. Middleweight is a weight class we've historically done a lot of fights in, and worked with a lot of world champions at middleweight, and he's someone that we believe, you know, he's got to have to go through that domestic. You know, the UK is great to promote because you have that measuring stick. I'll give you an example. Germany, you don't have that domestic type. You don't have that British belt here where you know already then at the British belt stage it's that measuring stick, and you know, go through that level, and then you know what's next, and it's often, you know, that's the real measuring stick in British boxing. You don't have that in a lot of other markets, so that's fantastic. There's some great fights to make in his way. He can bang. He's a middleweight. He comes in a gladiator's helmet. What more do you want? You know.
Stablemates as well, trains with Linus Udofia, who was just trying to put him off at the back there a few minutes ago. I saw that. I see everything. So Hosea Stewart, we'll move on to you, and you're awaiting your professional debut as well, same as Chloe, same as Matty Harris, who we'll speak to in a little while. Just give us a flavour of your journey so far, because you achieved a good amount as an amateur. You're a GB champion. You decided to turn over rather than stick with the amateur code. How fundamental were these two and Wasserman in persuading you that now was the right time?
Yeah, well, I've had it in my head for quite a while now that my next step was turning professional. When I had a meeting with these, and I heard about what Wasserman's doing for the future, their plans and endeavours, you know, their track record speaks for itself with heavyweights. So, you know, why not get on board? The people that got on board as well, all the other fighters, they're buzzing, everyone's hungry. So why not be a part of that journey, and I just want to start mine now.
And you've had some high-level sparring. You were regular sparring partner for Anthony Joshua ahead of his fight with Kubrat Pulev.
Yeah.
How did you find that?
Oh, it was brilliant, man. Good experience, you know, priceless experience. Good to be around AJ himself, everyone that he had in camp. You know, you just take that experience on board and just add it to my own game.
So Nissa, how did you hit on Hosea? How did that come about?
Well, I know Mick, Hosea's manager, very well, and he sent me some videos of him. I met him, I said, wow, he's massive. Got to sign him. No. You know, he can fight. I think he'll be more than suited to the pro game, more than the amateur game. There's some guys that I wouldn't recommend to turn pro straight away, and I think they can develop. I think Hosea will develop in the professionals, even quicker, even faster. He's a big puncher, and he's got a bright future.
Well, looking forward to seeing you in action before too long. And on to the end there, Martin. Welcome, Martin Foru. Based in London these days, boxing out of Holland, and I think you're the only one here actually. You've already made your Wasserman debut because you boxed in Austria last Friday. How did it go? How was that?
And in Denmark. I mean, I fought twice on the Wasserman show, and it was great. Yeah.
So how did this relationship start? How do you know these two?
I don't even know. No, I was with Wasserman before. Yeah, before they came, and then they merged. Yeah.
So in terms of your boxing background, you're 4-0 as a pro. Did you box much as an amateur?
I had 26 amateur fights. Yeah. So I was born and raised in the Netherlands, where I fought maybe half my fights, so about 13, 14, and then when I came here, I boxed London ABAs, Nationals, Harrogate Box Cup.
So what was it about Martin that a little while ago compared to some of the others that caught your attention?
It's funny the way Martin answered it. I never met Martin until the weigh-in on Friday, standing in an Austrian town square in front of the scales. I said, you know me? I said, yeah, I know who you are. Yeah. And we introduced each other. So Martin is one of the existing Wasserman management clients that's come over to the stable. The first time I saw him on Friday night in the ring, but he is, what people don't know, is a superstar in his own country outside of boxing. So he was a contestant or the winner of Paradise Island. I don't know if that's the equivalent of Towie or Love Island here. So in Denmark, I'm already saying, in Holland he's already got that part to it, but after Friday night I can tell you he can certainly box as well. He's definitely something which we were talking about on Friday. One country out of all the many different countries we've promoted in, we've never promoted in Holland. Holland has always been a traditional K1 kickboxing MMA market, and he's someone that we believe is a man that can lead the quest to start doing some shows in Holland, which I think is a market that we'd love to be in. To be honest, there's not many great talents over the years that have come out of Holland. I can see Jeff already racking the brain there, thinking back the years, or Ron, we've signed a few over the years. Danny Bass, Nordin, fighting Nordin, but I'm going back 20 years. Yeah. There hasn't really been that progression in Dutch boxing, and Martin with his let's say out of the ring, sort of platform. He's something that we're obviously looking at that market now, and it's something that's a space to watch.
Well, it certainly all helps. Drumming up that publicity is an absolutely key part of being a pro fighter. So thanks very much. Thanks very much, you four. Thanks very much for sparing the time. We'll let you go, and to replace them up on the stage here, if we could have Riza Ali, Linus Udofia, Harvey Horn, and Matty Harris. So, gentlemen, welcome. Great to see you all. Great to see you all here. Riza, so we first met about 3 years ago down at 12 by 3 in Paddington, and I remember coming away from it thinking I was pretty confident I would be hearing more about you. You were just one of those kind of characters. Your backstory's extraordinary. I encourage everybody to check it out. All members of the press, you need to ask him about it, because it's the adversity, the tragedy. It's harrowing stuff, and it didn't get particularly any easier when you moved from Iran to England. But here you are. And the first question for you really is: could you ever have imagined when you arrived in England? Could you ever have imagined when you were a young boy in Tehran that you would be in this room, in a room like this, at an event like this?
Yes, I always literally picture this today that I'm gonna get here. It was all dream. I did it really the hard way. I used to sleep on the street 4 years ago. I started boxing 4 years ago. Never boxed in my life. But I remember the first day I got in this country in Glasgow airport, and I came as an asylum seeker. When I got out of the airport, I said to myself, now I'm here and like I'm free. No life in danger or anything like that. And I know myself, I know I work hard, I know what I'm capable of. I'm here to have it all. That's what I'm here. I don't want to be, I want it all. Everyday hard work. I remember when we met in Paddington 3 years ago, I told you, oh, you know, I started boxing, I'm only like 2 feet amateur fight, but you know, can you help me, introduce me to some people? I want to go find a coach, find the gym, I want to turn pro. He gave me some advice, but I knew I'll be here today. I knew it, I picture it every day. Even when I go to my bed, I picture myself one day be a great champion. I sleep with it, I live with it, I breathe it every day. Never miss a day of training. And fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have a lot of amateur background. Only 10 amateur fight, 3 professional fight. But I'm developing every day, I'm learning, so I see a very bright future.
Well, you'll be boxing at super bantamweight. You were telling me you're 3-0, and it's such an interesting story, isn't it? When you hear it from Riza, and one thing that shines out from him is just the hunger.
Well, just before we get to Riza's story, I've got to give you the story of how we came upon Riza. This one I tell at dinner parties at the moment. So I've got a call, and I'm not going to say his name because he's a private gentleman, but let's put it this way, he's one of the richest men in the world and is a football club owner and etc. etc. I've got a message, and I was in Ibiza at the time, and someone's messaged me, and it wasn't night time in Ibiza, it was daytime. And I got this message, this guy wants a word with you about this boxer. So now we get approaches all the time from different parts of the world, but this one was like, whoa, that's interesting. Sort of Google, do my research on it. He was doing the background check on Riza at the same time. I must admit, I hadn't heard of Riza at the time. I certainly heard of the guy who was approaching me, so I've got my assistant to set up a Zoom with the gentleman. And I said, look, if the guy's on the Zoom, I'll take the Zoom. So immediately come back, yes, he'll be on the Zoom. Anyways, I'm in Manchester in the bubble for Junior's fight in May. Got the set up, it was 11 AM, and I said, okay, I said, just send a reminder, just make sure that this guy is actually on this call. I'm there 2 minutes to 11, and the first person on the call is this multi-billionaire. So I'm thinking, there's Riza next to him, and I'm thinking, right, okay, the combination here is quite interesting. That's quite an introduction, and you know, in due course we will say who it is and whatever, but it was the way it came about was phenomenal, and it was only then that I sat down with Riza. I said, oh, I'd like to meet with a person and actually hear these, because I mean, as journalists, you need to hear these stories. What you said is in a nutshell, a story that could fill a book now already, or several books. It's fascinating, it's heartbreaking, but also an amazing story to tell. I mean, it really, unfortunately, it's not a long press day, or else we'll spend a couple of days on it, but it's a fascinating story, and you know, I've seen now already the attraction he is. He's sold an absolute huge amount of tickets for October the 2nd. So the proof is in the pudding, Riza. Looking forward to see you on October 2nd. No pressure, no pressure.
All of these fighters will be boxing on October the 2nd, so we can look forward to seeing them on that bill at the SSE Arena then. So Linus, sat next to Riza, Linus Udofia, now former English middleweight champion, undefeated, 16-0. you vacated that title to move on to bigger and better things, and I believe that you're either just have been or about to be mandated for the British. It's been a while, obviously, since you boxed. You've been out of the ring for a good spell, and this is the perfect way, this move for you to get your career back going again.
Yeah, 100%. It's a fantastic platform. Wasserman and Sky Sports going together. It's a really good platform to springboard me onto, the domestic scene properly. I'm known, but not how I feel I should be. I think I should be a name that gets brought up with cash, the likes of Eubank, the Dignams, everyone else. I feel like my name doesn't get brought up like it should, and this is the platform to make that statement.
Mr. Is Linus a good example of somebody who has already achieved a good amount and got to a really good level in his career without too much promotional backing, and you looked at him and you thought, imagine what he might be able to do with some real firepower, the likes of which you can provide?
Yeah, I think you've had 15 fights now. You're known in the boxing industry. I think Steve Goodwin's done a great job by you, but I think this fight will be your coming out party. You're gonna have a lot of people ringside. It's gonna be a very entertaining fight, and people like Felix Cash. He's British champ at the moment. We have to see if he vacates, but if he doesn't, that'll make a great fight. It's been ordered. Yeah, but it's something to do with him, it just made me lose my place. Linus, Udofia, everyone. Big things coming.
Okay, so Harvey Hall next to Linus, and in a way you're kind of in a similar place because you're 8-0 as a flyweight now. You're WBO European champion. You're looking to kick on to that next level. You've not boxed for a long time either, as is the case with so many fighters. You did a lot as an amateur on that GB setup, boxing World Series boxing, numerous titles, silver medal at the European Championships. From speaking to you earlier, I know you feel that now is the time when all of that really comes to fruition.
Yeah, I think you left that under 22 European champion as well. Don't worry, that's all right. No, so obviously, I haven't boxed in a while. Like a lot of fighters, but it's exciting times. You've got Wasserman, a global brand, they're established in the sporting industry, paired up with two of the biggest promoters in Europe, the Sauerlands. So all that means now, with them two paired together, the marketing, the reputation, the experience, all that can mean for my career now is to the top. And I wouldn't be happy unless I was going to the top. That's my aim, that's what I'm focused on, and I think Wasserman, Sauerland, Wasserman boxing, that's where we're going to go.
How pleased were you to get Harvey's signature, because he's got serious pedigree and credentials already?
Harvey is also together with Martin, and it was an existing Wasserman client, and we're delighted now to have him on October 2nd and promote him. Also a very popular fighter, and has that measuring stick in front of him of the domestic scene. And there's some tough fights out there, but we believe in him. That's the reason we're moving forward and full steam ahead. And he's someone who, if you look at his style as well, very exciting. Exciting weight, great domestic opponents. Once again, in the UK, you have that advantage of measuring sticks before you go and push on abroad. And it's a lot of the guys and girls you're going to see today. There will be boxing in the UK, but of course, when we need to, we will use our other events outside of the UK. As you saw at the weekend, we were promoting in Austria, we're going to Latvia next month, Germany, Norway still on the schedule this year. So especially for the developing fighters, yes, it's important to go out and box. At Wembley on October the 2nd, very nice. Big show coming up in December in the UK. But when you're building a fighter, and we've mostly in our careers always dealt with fighters coming straight from the amateurs and building them, you sometimes need fights in between. and those are sometimes out of contract fights. I mean, fights you have to provide the fighter, but you have to find space for them to box. The trainers in the room here, I can see them all nodding, hopefully. You need to test things in fights before you maybe do that in front of your own crowd. So we'll be using that as well as a little bit of a secret ingredient, and that will be something that you'll see as well.
Okay, so I'll probably be commentating on your fight on the 2nd, so that will not go. That mistake will never happen again. European Under-22 champion. I'll make sure that goes in. So on to the big man on the end there, Matty Harrison. Yours is a really interesting story as well, because your name kind of started to circulate around gyms and reach people's ears not that long ago, really, and there were kind of stories about this guy who hadn't really had any amateur fights, but yet he was doing some really top level sparring, and no one really knew particularly where you kind of come from. There's one tremendous story about you, which is like something out of the 19th century bare knuckle days, where you and some others put some money in a pot and met in a field in Birmingham. It was like Peaky Blinders, and then all just went at it, and the winner took the lot home, and that's I believe that's what happened. So, explain yourself. Where have you come from, boxing wise?
Started boxing competitively 3 years ago, something like that, 4 years ago, I think. But on that occasion, yeah, it was obviously during lockdown. I like money, wanted to earn a bit. A couple of my friends had a bit of money, wanted to fight, and it was just a group of people, so yeah, got there, matched on the day, was about to get out, took the money home. That's pretty much all I was doing.
This wasn't involving Wasserman-Sauerland. We edit that a little bit.
It
wasn't one of our first events.
It wasn't officially sanctioned in any way.
I'm not saying I wasn't there, but it wasn't involved. he got spotted out.
So Nisse, these kinds of signings are in some ways the most interesting ones, because this is pure word of mouth stuff, isn't it? When you start to hear about a fighter like this. So how did this happen from your end?
I mean, I think Matty is one of the worst kept secrets in boxing. You know, everyone's been talking about him for a long time. You know, we met up with Max McCracken, and we did the deal. I had to have him, and yeah, I'm very, very pumped for his debut. And I think he's got the right attitude. He likes to fight, which always helps in boxing. But at the same time, he looks the part and he can box. And I think the heavyweights are booming at the moment everywhere. We've built heavyweights over the years. We've got great experience in building heavyweights, and we're going to continue to do so with Matty, Hosea, and the man who will be coming up here soon as well. Just delighted to have him on board.
Kalle, just a quick one before these four leave us about that October the 2nd. But it's great to get all of them. It's great to get all of them out boxing, back in action, because they've all been out for a while. And of course, for Matty, it's a professional debut. So big night to look forward to.
Yeah, it's a great night. It's great to be working back with Sky Sports, and it's going to be a fantastic co-promotion with Boxer that evening. They've got some good fights on as well, and it's a great all-round card. I think just going back to Matty for a second there. I mean, we've signed a lot of heavyweights over the years. Some work, some don't work, but he has something special about him. My brother wouldn't stop talking about him for a long period of time, which with Nisse he falls. He basically every day there's new boxes on the table, so I always give it a few days and see if that box is still on the table like 3 days later. And with both Hosea and Matty, it was certainly the case, and also the gentleman who will be joining us in a minute. But we go back. I mean, my first professional heavyweight champion was Alexander Povetkin. I signed him when I was 26, 27 years old, straight from the Olympics, and we built him into a world champion. But then obviously that night with Klitschko didn't quite go our way. Still blaming it on the referee to this day, but whether it's the Klitschkos, Hay, Valuev, Povetkin, we've worked with a lot of heavyweight champions obviously in the last couple of decades, and you know, we're far off that Matty's sitting here and tomorrow will be heavyweight champion, but he's on a road with people, and so's Hosea with people who have been there and done it. And that's something that we are excited for. You know, it's something when you begin that journey, it's not like we're looking at things, oh, we know what we're doing, we know which way we're going to push them, how we're going to match them. We've got Tom Dallas, I think one of the best matchmakers in the world, and a great team around that supporting it. And there we are very, very confident on all the people we've signed. It's not that we've just said sign everyone who's available. We've turned some down and we've looked at the ones that we want to focus on. We don't ever want to be a huge stable in the UK because we have other countries we work on as well. The UK will always remain a boutique. I say boutique, we're already at 15 fighters in 3 months, or 6 months, but it's so, it doesn't, don't think that this is going to continue over time. We will focus on a boutique bunch of fighters, and that's what we've always done in every market we've gone to, and we believe in quality over quantity, and that's what we're presenting here today.